Eukaryotic cells, the second type of cells, and you know where to find one. Today we'll be talking about the differences of eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells, and the two different types of eukaryotic cells and the characteristics of eukaryotic cells. So to start off, I'm going to talk to you about the main characteristics of a eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cells usually have a distinct nucleus. Unlike the prokaryotes, they have a membrane-bound nucleus. So the DNA and the genetic materials are contained in an organelle known as nucleus. Eukaryotic cells have a separate membrane-bound organelle. So all organelles are membrane-bound and not roaming around free like the prokaryotes. Eukaryotics are relatively large, and eukaryotic cells are usually part of a complex multicellular organisms. So, what are the two types of eukaryotic cells? It's the plant cell and the animal cells. So, one of the key similarities between these two cells is the nucleus. So, these big black circles are the nucleus. As I've said before, nucleus is membrane bound and contains the genetic material of the cell. It is the largest organelle in a cell, and these nucleus control the cell's function. Some cells are multinucleated, such as the muscle fibers, because they need more activity. They do more activity. Plasma membrane is another key similarity between these two, and it's one of the key similarity between the prokaryotics and the eukaryotics. So eukaryotic cells have plasma membrane like these, which, like the prokaryotic cells, control what goes in and out of the cell. It is a fluid structure that can change its shape, and the membrane is usually a phospholipid bilayer. The membrane has pores that run through this bilayer called as channel proteins. The other similarity between these in these two types of eukaryotics are mitochondria. It is the site of aerobic respiration. It is double membrane organelle, so it has two membranes around cell. And the inner membrane has folds called cristae, which is the location of oxidative phosphorylation. And the center of the structure is called the matrix, which is the location of the Krebs cycle. The more active a cell is, the greater the number of mitochondria present. Mitochondria produces energy through aerobic respiration. So some cells, such as the muscles, need more energy because they're more active, so they need more mitochondria. That's the reason behind some cells having more mitochondria than the other. The other key similarity between the two types of eukaryotic cells is the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER in short. It is a form of network of tubules, so they're little tubes that form a maze-like structure and generally runs from the nucleus to the outside of the cell. Ribosomes may be attached or not attached to this ER. Ribosomes that are attached on the ER, or the ER which has ribosome attached to it, are known as rough ER, whereas ER that have no ribosomes attached are known as smooth ER. Proteins that are produced on an ER is excreted out of the cell. As I mentioned that ribosomes may be attached on ER or maybe not. What are these ribosomes? Ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis. That's why some of the ER can produce proteins, but specifically it's the ribosome. It's made out of RNAs and proteins, and it consists of two subunits. Free ribosomes inside cells, so like these ones that are free, produce proteins for the cell to use internally. Unlike the ones that are attached on the ER, they usually package out. And to package these proteins, the cells need Golgi body or the Golgi apparatus. So this Golgi body modifies the proteins prior to secretion and may possibly add a carbohydrate or a lipid to this protein. Once these are packaged, they're packaged into a vesicle, which is then later secreted out of the cell. So the differences between plant cells and animal cells are the exterior component of the cell. Plant cells have cell wall, whereas animal cells do not have any cell wall. Because plant cells have cell wall, they're usually rigid and have a fixed shape, usually rectangular like this one. And animal cells, due to the absence of cell wall, are more flexible and usually round shaped like this one. Chloroplast. Chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. Because plants photosynthesize, these plant cells contain chloroplast, unlike animal cells which has no chloroplast. Plant cells usually have a large vacuole which contains the cell sap. Unlike animal cells have no vacuole, and if they do, they're usually very, very small. But plant cells have a really large one like this. Plant cells have no centrioles, which are here. Only animal cells have centrioles. Centriole is it's associated with nuclear division and usually composed of microtubules. The region where the centrioles are present is known as a centrosome. So as you can see, no centrioles are present in the plant cell, where in the animal cell there's one at the end of the cell. Plant cells store carbohydrates as starch. So when you eat vegetables, they say that it's high in starch. It's because of the stored carbs in the plant cell. Unlike animal cells, these carbs are stored as glycogen. So two different forms of polysaccharides. To move on. So as you can see in my diagram, clearly the shape is different. Plant cells have some of the characteristics, some more of the key features than the animal cells, and animal cells are usually empty. Has no rigid structure. To move on, we're going to talk about the difference between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. As you remember from my last video, prokaryotic cells have a one circular DNA. So they're in a ring form without any proteins. Unlike the eukaryotic cells, which have DNA present in the nucleus, these DNA coil around a protein known as histone and forms a chromosome. Prokaryotic cells do not respire aerobically, so they do not need any mitochondria, and so mitochondria is absent in a prokaryote. Whereas eukaryotic cells have mitochondria to produce more energy from the presence of oxygen. The other key difference is that prokaryotic cells have a 70S ribosome and the eukaryotic cells have an 80S ribosome. These ribosomes may sound different, but they usually has the main function of synthesizing proteins. Prokaryotic cells have no membrane-bound organelles, so there is no internal compartmentalization, whereas eukaryotic cells has many types of organelles that are membrane-bound, and these organelles are usually specialized. Prokaryotic cells are relatively small, usually less than 10 micrometers, unlike the eukaryotic cells, which can grow up to 100 micrometer. So from this video we have learned some of the key characteristics of eukaryotic cells and the two different types of eukaryotic cells being the plant cell and the animal cell, and some of the key similarities and differences. We have compared the two prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. And so we have found out that prokaryotes have no nucleus and are less specialized and usually present as a unicellular organism, whereas the eukaryotic cells usually have a specialized organelles, so they're more specialized and has a nucleus and usually are very big. So I hope you enjoyed my video today. It's all about eukaryotes and some of the differences.